G'day guys, welcome back to another video. So today we're going to do a full walkthrough and review on our 200 series Landcruiser. What mods we put on it and why we put them on. So stay tuned to find out. So guys, this car here, this is our 2014 Landcruiser 200 series. This is the Sahara model, and in Australia we have the diesel engine. So in this car we are running a 4.5 litre V8 twin turbo diesel, and that is paired up with a 6-speed automatic transmission. So what we're going to do is we're going to work from the front of the vehicle to the back, and then we'll do the inside as well. So starting up the front here, we have bolted on a ARB Deluxe steel bull bar. This bull bar here is a winch compatible bar as well, as you can see. And look, the reason we chose this bar, well, to be honest, I actually wanted the ARB Summit bar, which is their newer, more stylish bar. However, they don't make the Summit bar here in Australia for these pre-facelifted 200 series Landcruisers at present. So unfortunately we went for the Deluxe, still okay though. And we went for a black. So I do like the look of the powder coated bull bars to match your car, but the one concern I have heard about them, and the thing that even the ARB guys told me, is they do tend to chip a little bit, especially at the front, and when ARB make their bull bars, it's black underneath and the powder coat goes on top. So if we were to powder coat this white, we get a stone chip that just flakes away that powder coating. You're going to be seeing the black underneath it, and it's going to be pretty obvious, and it will look pretty messy after a couple of years. So we went for the black. It's a bit tougher, and to be honest, with the rest of the modifications we've done on the car, that black on white, in my opinion, actually looks quite nice. So continuing it on, when you get the bull bar as well, they do relocate your front factory camera. The bull bar takes up a little bit of room here. On the Sahara models there is a camera underneath the Toyota emblem here, so they relocate that just offside in between this gap in the bull bar here. So if you do use those cameras a little bit, you've got to keep in mind they are offset a little bit, so the wheel tracks are not going to be where it says on the front screen inside the car. With the bull bar as well, we got the fog light kit. Now when we got this one, we did option to an LED fog light kit. Would I do it again? Probably not. I'm not overly impressed with the output on those fog lights at all, and the price you pay for them is just that ARB premium. So if I had my time again, I'd probably look at something like a steady fog light kit to match these bull bars, but they're in there now, so it's something we'll deal with. Also, with the VX and Sahara models, you do have your parking sensors, so they do fit into the bull bar. However, one thing I noticed through the dealer that I went through is they don't paint them. So you end up with these white dots just on your bull bar where your parking sensors are. So in my case, I just painted them up black, but you're going to have to do that yourself if your ARB dealer or fitter doesn't do that. So mounted to the bull bar, we do have a winch. We are running a carbon 12,000 pound winch. Couple of reasons I chose this winch. The first one being its weight. So we're a little bit weight conscious on this vehicle, and this weight is one of the lightest on the market. So it's a 12,000 pound winch running Dyneema rope, and it comes in at about 23 kilos. So it's a few kilos lighter than some of its competitors. Also a very good price. I think it's about $1,000 not fitted, and it does come with a 5-year warranty as well, and a motor breather hose which goes up into the engine bay. So it seems to have the quality behind it, some good reviews, and it's a lot cheaper than something like your brand names like your Warns and whatnot. To manage that, I've just got to allow me to access that, sorry, I've got an ARB flip up bracket there. That just allows us to flip up the number plate when the winch is in use, so it doesn't get caught, and keeps the number plate in its factory position in the centre of the car. Also on the bull bar lighting, we do have our Steady Type X Pros. So I've only put these on the car recently, but so far very impressed with how they're working. They are a full LED light, as you can see here, and they do come with these covers which just clip off when you want to use them. Obviously you can leave them off if you want to. So they have 3 bolts that go into the bull bar, and then 2 bolts on either side, and they are rock solid. I don't think they'll be going anywhere anytime soon. They are a pencil beam though, they shoot straight down the road, but given how powerful they are, I do find they have enough spread to be pretty comfortable in the close range distance as well. So pairing up with that as well, with the Sahara models you do get the HIDs, and I have done a steady high beam upgrade kit as well. If you're interested, I have done a dedicated video on the 12 volt system on this car, so you can check that out, and it goes through all the lighting and 12 volt mods we've done in detail. On the two tabs that we have here, we do have a GME antenna. This is just a 2.1 decibel antenna we have on the passenger tab, and this kit here does come with a grub screw behind this mount here. You can unscrew this antenna and you can chuck on a bigger one. So we also carry a 6.6 decibel antenna, and we can chop and change quite easily depending on the terrain. On the driver's side tab here, we just have a sand flag mount. So if we ever do go to somewhere we need to use a sand flag, that just pops on there. So for the front of the car, that's about it. Underneath the car, you have your factory ARB bash plate that just comes with the bull bar. And then I've also optioned on 2 ARB front recovery points, one on each side. And the reason I chose the ARB ones is because they are horizontal. So some of the other brands like Road Safe do make a vertical one, and it just impedes a little bit on that front approach angle. The ARB ones are nice and flat, and they're rated quite high as well. I can't remember the exact figures there. Underneath the vehicle, we are not running any further bash plates. I didn't want the weight. I don't go extreme four-wheel driving, and it's just a bit of a hassle to get on and off when you want to service the vehicle. So aside from that ARB factory one, there's nothing past that backwards. So let's move down the side of the car and we'll go through what else we've done to this vehicle. Okay guys, moving down to the driver's side of the vehicle, so we're running a Safari R-Max snorkel. The reason we chose this one is it is a 4-inch diameter the whole way through, so it's a big airflow allowing through there. Safari is obviously a reputable brand, and it has the quality behind it there. Attached to that, we do not have the factory Safari head that comes with the snorkel. We have switched that over to a Donaldson cyclonic pre-filter. And again, I've done another video just on that pre-filter itself, so if you're interested about how that works and whether it works, check that video out. But that's the snorkel we chose to run. While we're here as well, you can also see the roof rack. So we are running a Rhino roof rack Pioneer platform system, and with that we're using the backbone mounting system. I just like the look of these units. They're very light and they're nice and sleek with the vehicle. The only downside to having that backbone mounting system is trying to clean the roof is difficult. You've got to get your hands in between the roof rack and try and get a brush through there. But otherwise, really easy to use, nice and light, strong, and there's a lot of accessories out there that bolt onto this straight up and make it very easy to use. So that's what we've chosen there. Look for side steps. We're not running anything aftermarket there. These are just the factory plastic side steps. I might look at getting some down in the future, but for the meantime, the reason we've gone for the plastic ones is weight. We don't go extreme rock crawling and do the real hard tracks, so this just keeps our car nice and light, and so far they do what they need to do. Moving on to underneath the bonnet of this car, so like I said before, this is a V8 twin turbo 4.5 litre diesel. Engine mods wise, we really haven't done a whole lot, so we've only really added a secondary fuel filter. So this is a pre-fuel filter, it's a 30 micron, and it comes in line before the factory one. The reason we chose that over a post is we don't want to put any strain on the fuel pump, so if you put like a 2 micron or even smaller after the factory filter, it's just going to put a little bit more resistance on that fuel pump and potentially accelerate the wear and tear on that. And also the factory fuel filter does do a pretty good job. The 30 micron before it is just going to take out any chunks, but it's also going to eliminate any water as well. So that's the reason we've gone for that one there. And we've also put in an HPD catch can as well. So this has only been installed for about probably 5,000–6,000 K now, and it already has picked up a little bit. This one does come with a little dipstick as well, so you can check there how much oil is in that little can there, and they're fairly easy to change. Unfortunately, it doesn't have a tap on it like some models do, which is a little bit irritating, but it is just a couple of bolts. Take the bracket off, you unscrew the bottom of the cup, and then you can just tip it out that way. So it's still fairly easy in general. What we do have going on underneath here that's not standard is the electrical work. So these 200s do come out with dual batteries. You've got your 2 batteries at the front of the engine bay there. Now we've split the factory wiring harness and we've made it just one starter battery here, which is an Optima yellow top, and we've got a deep cycle battery over on the other side, which is a full river 105 amp hour deep cycle battery. Now again, I do have a fully detailed video on our 12-volt system, so if you're interested about all that, then you can check that out as well. But all that 12-volt wiring there is managed through an aftermarket fuse box up in the back corner up here, and everything that's aftermarket on this vehicle has a fuse in there that relates to it. So if we do have any issues, we can come back to that one place and check it all nice, neat and tidy. We do have a winch isolation switch here as well, and just down the front grille, just within the engine bay there, is a red Anderson plug, and that's a solar input for the Red Arc BC-DC charger. And in this case, we're running a Red Arc BC-DC 1240D. So that's just down in the front of the grille there, also behind the plastic grille, so it's nice and cool and receives that cool air when you're driving along. So it's a 40 amp charger, and the D there stands for it can accept solar as well. So we have a couple of points, one on the roof rack and one down the front here, where we can plug in portable or mounted panels, and that will just help charge the auxiliary battery when we're not driving. So other than that, engine's fairly stock standard. In the future, I do want to do a few little things to it, like an exhaust and maybe some sort of power upgrade there, but that's down the track, and for now, pretty happy with how it performs. Moving on to the wheels, tyres and suspension that we've chosen for our 200, we'll start with the wheels. So in this case, we're running a Method Racing wheel. This is an alloy wheel, it's 18 inches, so sticking with that factory 18 that you get with these Toyota Saharas, and it's a 9-inch wide, so we have gone an extra 1 inch in width. The reason we chose these is it's one of the only manufacturers that not only meet our GVM upgrade mass, but also it has that positive 25mm offset. So that brings these wheels right out to the edge of the guards, and gives a bit more clearance for these bigger tyres, but also in my opinion looks a lot better and just widens the stance of the car just that little bit. So tyre wise, we are running a BF Goodrich all-terrain. This is a 305/65/18, so it's just shy of a 34-inch tyre. It's the only manufacturer that makes this size of tyre, so BF Goodrich they only have the all-terrain in this size as well. That is definitely one of the cons of these tyres. If you're out remote touring, you've got to be wary of that. So I might look at changing the size a little bit next time, but for now, this will do the job. I've got another detailed video on our wheel and tyre choice and why we chose them, and some of the things you've got to consider. So if you're interested in that, just check that video out. Moving on to suspension. So, like I mentioned, we do have a GVM upgrade kit for this vehicle. We're running an ARB BP51 remote reservoir upgrade. So that comes with obviously remote reservoir shocks and the bypass valve shocks. So they are a very, very comfortable shock. Definitely by far the best off-road suspension that I've had on a vehicle. And so far I've had no complaints. They are fully adjustable on both compression and on rebound on each shock. And it's something that's very easy to do as well. So it's not hard to get to, but I have just set them to a standard setting there and have forgot about them. Going along with that kit as well, we obviously had to get the GVM compliance. So that's fairly easy when you get a kit from ARB. They do give you a certificate, which you take to your certified inspector. They'll look over the install and they'll issue a new VIN plate or additional VIN plate for the vehicle, which you stick on with the new GVM upgrades. So that's taken this car here from 3,350 kilos all the way up to 3,845 kilos. So it's definitely helped us out with all the mods we've added, the gear we pack and the van that we tow. We definitely needed that GVM upgrade. And I'll be releasing a video soon on the weight of these cars and how much difference all these modifications have made. Along with the suspension, we've also added aftermarket upper control arms. So we've got the Black Hawk upper control arms. So they're greasable upper control arms, replace the factory ones. It just brings that caster angle back to your factory 3 degrees. You can get away without doing them. However, it does bring it back to exactly how it comes out of factory, which is your 3 degrees. Brings your front wheel forward just that tiny little bit. It's only a couple of mil, but it's enough as well just to help these bigger tyres fit in with the guards. As you notice here, to get these wheels to fit in, I've had to remove the front mud flaps, and I had to do a little bit of trimming as well on those guards. Just on full flex and on lock, they do seem to rub a little bit. Also, with this, the front axle, I have put a road safe diff drop in. Just brings those CV axles just down a little bit. Again, it's not something you have to do, but after breaking a CV axle on my last car, just towing the van on the highway, I thought anything I can do to help avoid doing that on this car, I'll do. And I've chucked one of them in as well. Now, having these wheels here that are 25mm offset, bringing them right to the guards, one thing you'll notice when you put a lift kit on is the rear axle moves across a significant amount. you need to put a rear panhard rod in, an adjustable panhard rod in the back to bring that axle back into the center of the vehicle. You might get away with it with standard wheels, you won't notice it so much. You put these wheels on with the offset, you will definitely see some tread on your one side of the vehicle, and you'll see the wheels sunken in on the other side. So almost a necessity if you're going to put wheels with this sort of offset on. But overall, we're very happy with the suspension system, and very comfortable for a car like this. Okay, so just one thing I want to mention about the rear suspension on this vehicle. We've gone for the 400 kilo constant springs in the rear, and also airbags in there as well. We do tow, and we were planning on loading this car up with some mods. When I got it installed, we didn't have any mods on the car at all. So I was a little bit concerned it would ride a bit rough. However, I have been surprised. It's not nearly as bad as I thought it would be. Now that we've got the drawers and a bit of gear in the back as well, this thing is a dream to drive. And with those airbags, a quick flick of a switch, and we're back up to the same level we were before we hooked the van on, when we were all fully loaded up with the van on as well. So the 400 kilos, in my opinion, is the way to go, and that comes standard with the Stage 2 GVM upgrade kit that we've got on this car. So you can get a Stage 1 as well, and I think it brings your GVM to somewhere around the mid 3,500 kilos, somewhere around there. But if you want to get that full 38.45, I think ours is, then you need to go for the Stage 2, which has the 400 kilos in the rear. At the back of the vehicle now, one thing you'll notice we don't have is a rear bar. So one issue that the 200 series cruisers do have is this spare wheel. A bit hard to see from where you are, but the spare wheel does hang down a bit, especially when you put bigger wheels and tyres on these vehicles. So one thing I would like to do to this vehicle is put a rear bar on with a swing away tyre carrier. However, if you watch my video about the weights on these cars, it is going to be an issue with weights, and also I don't like it impeding the tailgate here. So at the moment we left it up underneath. But something I might look into in the future, or some sort of solution there anyway. The only real thing that we've done here at the back aftermarket is just our airbag inflation kit. So you've got two manual valves down here for two airbags, and I forgot to mention that are in the rear springs, just to help cope with some of that load a little bit more. Also, with the plugs here, we've gone to a 12-pin plug. This is just for our caravan, and we've also added an additional Anderson plug here as well, which just provides constant 12 volt. Other than that, the back of the car is fairly stock standard. One thing I forgot to mention with the roof rack as well is down the side of the roof rack there, we do have a couple of lights mounted. So these are Light Force Rock 9 flush mounted lights, and they're just on 30-degree brackets. So they have a switch for either side, there's a pair on either side. It just provides some ambient camping light when we pull up to camp, if we don't have anything else. So they're really bright, but yet very small amp draw, and a great light for when you're out camping. So let's move on into the inside of this vehicle. Okay guys, so moving on into the cab of the vehicle now. Up the front here, I really don't like a lot of clutter on my car. I like to keep them nice and basic, nice and neat and tidy. So in this vehicle, in the center here anyway, all we're really running aftermarket is this GME XRS UHF unit. So the main unit itself is mounted behind the dash, and you've got an Ethernet cable which just connects this handset to it. And it's got a magnetic mount as well, which is something that is really handy. Don't have to worry about clipping it on anymore. It just simply sticks onto the car like that. Other than that, everything else here you see is stock standard. We do have a few extra switches. So down by your left knee you have the dual battery switch. This is just a momentary switch that will link the two batteries together. If in the instance where you do run out of charge there on your starter battery, you can start from both. And I'll put a close up over here on the driver's side on your right knee. We have a iDrive unit. So this is a relatively new addition to the vehicle. Something I'm still trying out at the moment. And then we also have a lot of additional switches. So we have some underbody lighting, our front spotlights, a dual battery monitor, and our brake controller. So that's what we've got mounted there. Obviously the brake controller being mounted behind the dash here. These Saharas, one thing that does become a little bit of an issue is lack of blank switches. They have a lot of electronics on these cars, a lot of additions that the GXL and VX don't have. So just for example, down by your left knee here, you've got two buttons just relating to your power rear door. So you've got one that opens and closes the door, and then one that turns the power off in the instance you don't want to accidentally knock it or press it on the key. And then down the center here, there are no blanks on the center of these Saharas either. So fortunately for me, especially where I live, I've got aircon seats as well as heated seats, which comes in pretty handy. Plus your power and second start modes, and your full electronic traction control and crawl control and turn assist modes. So these cars are full of electronics, and unfortunately they take up a lot of those blank switches. So other than that though, it's Pretty basic interior. I do have a couple of mounts I mount to the windscreen when I'm driving on trips. So one will be the phone mount, which is just a Ram X grip, and the other one, sometimes if I'm doing some off-road tracks, I'll put a Garmin GPS up there as well. But otherwise, nice and basic and simple. Okay, guys, so I reckon the last bit of the car here is the rear cargo setup. We've spent a fair bit of time thinking about exactly what we need in our car, and it's nothing too complicated, but it works really, really well. So, starting from the obvious, our drawers. So we went for a single drawer system with a slide-out fridge. Because we tow a van, a lot of our gear does get kept in the van, so we don't need huge, big stacked-up drawers, or even twin drawers for that matter. So we've just chosen to go that one. It's a fairly decent sized drawer, so it does hold a lot of gear, and it's mainly tools and stuff that just stays in the car. And we keep this area here quite empty when we're on a trip, so if we do leave the van behind, we've got all this space here we can chuck it in. So these drawers here are made by a company called Custom Installations in Wangara in Perth, Western Australia. Pretty good system. They are a wooden construction with ball bearing slides. So far they've been flawless for our needs. They're great on the slides, nice and smooth. You can take a fair bit of weight there. The best part is you can customize these drawers however you like when you order them. So what we've done is we've opted for a electronic panel in both left and right sides of the wing kit. So we'll start with the passenger side, where we run a Victron battery monitor, which is a Bluetooth battery monitor, links to your phone as well, and tells you all about your secondary battery, its status, its charge. You can manage it all from an app on a phone as well. And then moving down from there, we have two switches. These control our camping lights left and right. On the roof rack up there, we have 4 USB outlets and 2 12-volt outlets. And as you can see at the moment, they're being used to charge up some drone accessories there. Moving across to the driver's side, this is our air control system. So up at top here we have a dual PSI gauge for our 2 airbags that are in a rear suspension. Paddle switches here for increasing and decreasing the PSI in those bags. Air compressor switch here, so when the car's on, that compressor will turn on. And then you've got a blank here as well, so we'll figure out something for that down the track, but if we need to, we've got a blank there we can use, as well as the ARB air fitting just for pumping up your tyres. The other big advantage to having this on the rear of your car, especially if you tow, instead of underneath your bonnet in your engine bay, is that you can pump up your tyres on your trailer without having to extend 2 hoses. So it's a fitted air compressor, but it still pumps up all 4 tyres on our dual axle van and all 4 tyres on the car. With this system as well, on this side we do have the fridge slide. So this is a full fridge slide that comes out, but in addition to that, it also has a table underneath it, which is why it's so thick. Slide that out and you've got a table, and it does have a leg underneath it which pops down and provides a whole lot of support for that table. Obviously if you wish to, you can just pull that table out as well, so if you do just stop on the side of the road, you don't want your fridge out, you can just slide that out and you can make some lunch on that or whatever you want to do. Another addition we put on this is the fridge box around the fridge. So obviously this stops things falling in behind the fridge, but one thing I wanted with this system is to make it pretty interchangeable, so that when we're not forward driving, it's still a relatively open area to use when we're not carrying a fridge and all the gear that we go. So what we got is 4 clips inside this fridge box here. You can flick them on, and we've got a panel that just sits across here and creates a false floor the whole way across. So in a matter of about 5 minutes, we can have the fridge out, fridge box off, and a false floor installed in there, making it a very usable space to be able to chuck a dog in there, or any of our gear that we're not when we're not taking the fridge or not doing a big trip. And on top of that as well, if you do that, you can also put a small box in underneath that false floor and make it a second drawer just by using that fridge slide there. With the wing kits as well, on the 200s the wheel guards do stick out a fair way, so you've got quite large wing kits in these drawers. On the passenger side here, we just keep a whole lot of spare things like axes and saws, spare parts, tools that you don't get to very often, you don't need to get to very often, and just some big stuff in there. And we've just put a little board in there as well, just between that electronic panel and the rest of the wing kit there. So if the things are rattling around in there, they're not going to come up and smash the back of that panel there. And that's just something we've added in after we bought these drawers. We do have a small space down this side of the fridge box as well. At the moment it's just a blanket down there, but what I'm thinking about putting down here is some sort of water storage, maybe a jerry can or 2 that will fit down the side here that I can strap down to the drawer system, and it sort of takes up a bit of a wasted space there. Obviously underneath that as well, you do have another wing kit in there, and they're just accessed by lifting these panels up in there. So In there is where we keep some of the spares that we're definitely not going to need on a daily basis, things like belts, hoses, fluids and things like that. I've also got a aftermarket jack in there, a hydraulic jack, keeping in mind when you upgrade the tyres and beef these cars up, the standard Toyota jack just isn't going to cut it anymore. And again, we've done the same thing behind these airlines in here. We've put in a board that just stops those things moving back and hitting the back of this air control system here. Another little feature we've done on this car in relation to the electronics is put in an ARB compressor mounted into the back plastic compartment of this section here. So behind this panel here, you've got your spare tyre changing equipment down the bottom, but just above that is just a storage compartment for a factory, and it's quite a large one at that. So if you get that removed, you can actually end up fitting an ARB twin cylinder compressor in there along with a 4-litre air tank. So it's a powerful compressor with a bit of storage, and that also links up to obviously your air controls here and your hose. So tucked out of the way, you can't see it, and it's just perfect for what we need. 200s as well do come with this handy tailgate storage. So in this panel here, we just keep a whole lot of little bits and pieces like bug spray, tyre deflation and inflation gear, some bags, gloves, just little bits and pieces like that. And then from factory on this side, you do just have your standard tyre changing equipment. So we've just left that one as such. Other than that, look, we've just got an LED light that we've chucked up on the tailgate. The best thing about this is it's plug and play into the back switch for the factory automated tailgate on the Sahara. Very easy to fit, real bright, and it lights up this whole area underneath your on your tailgate here. And being linked up to that switch on the tailgate, when the tailgate closes, the light turns off. Plus, it's also got its own little switch there as well. And conveniently, it's placed just above the fridge as well when the fridge is out. So if you need to see what's in there, chuck that on, lights up your fridge. So so far, this system's worked really well for our needs. It's not going to be for everyone, but if you're NWA and looking for a drawer system, these guys at Custom will be able to make anything you want. So you can customize it however you want, and they'll make it work. There is a bit of a wait time for their work, but in my opinion, it's worth it if you get some good gear. Okay guys, so thanks for checking out our 200 series Landcruiser. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope we may have given you some ideas and things to think about if you're setting up a car for touring, or if you're setting up a 200 series Landcruiser as well. If you have any questions or anything you want to comment on, you can either chuck it in the comments below this video, or you can hit us up on Facebook and Instagram. I'm more than happy to help you out with anything you might want to know that we didn't cover in the video. So again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Cheers guys.